Hello. Can everyone hear me? We should be live. How's everyone doing? Since Twitter is not working, I think we're not gonna have a lot of people in here. But I posted it in the Discord. Let's see, maybe some more people join during the way. But yeah, I'll just cover some charts, right? Answer some questions and do some requests, and people will still be able to watch it after the stream is done. So let's not waste any time, right? As I said, we will do some requests, but please keep them for you until I say so, and then we'll see. All right, so I'm gonna start with Bitcoin as always, and then work my way through some altcoins. We have some interesting alts. Esther is one of them. I'm long on this one, and the long is playing out beautifully, so let me explain that, and then we'll cover things like BNB, Ethereum, Litecoin is looking interesting as well. Maybe Zcash, Monero, we'll see. All right. Cool. Starting off with Bitcoin, right? So let's do a top-down analysis starting on the higher time frames and see sort of where we're at, right? So straight away on the monthly, levels to mark is the high up there and the low down here. Let's mark that out with a range, actually, like this. Boom. Range high, range low. Range high got swept. What did we say up here, right? Since we were trading in this range, right? I was longing into these wicks here, obviously. And what did we say, right? Especially after the 10th of October, as long as we hold above this level, right, on a weekly basis, we should be good for higher prices, right? On the weekly, it was clearly visible. Just that area in general, that was very pivotal from the way back here. You shouldn't like focus on just one line in particular, but more see it as an area. So mark it out like this in blue. And then what did we say? Well, these were the lows that got swept there. As long as those hold, right, and this general area holds and we start pushing back higher, we should be good for higher prices, all right? But instead what happened, continuation to the downside, closed ugly, retested that, and then started dumping. What was the next plan? And still is the next plan, right? We were watching this low, looking for a sweep of that low and a pump and a strong close back above this level. So far we haven't seen that. We actually closed very bearish, saw continuation to the downside, are trading around range mean, which you can see here is a very pivotal area. Same thing here. If you simply mark it out with an area, this area in general has been support all the way here, resistance here, flip back into support here, started pushing back up. So pivotal area in general. That plan, right, of this low getting swept and getting reclaimed still stands. But what do we want to see for that? Well, like I just said, we want to see a reclaim of the low. So a couple of scenarios that I am watching here, considering we are trading at a pivotal area, considering we are trading at our monthly range mean, we will have to see if this monthly range mean wants to hold, right? just a general area, right? So I'm not talking about this particular level, but just we could see some more wicks to the downside. But as long as the weekly closes above here, right, and we start reclaiming this, I could see us push back up towards this high, towards range highs. And then we're back at that level and the scenario becomes the same again. If we manage to get back above here, you buy the retest and sell new all-time highs. As long as we don't, this area will be considered as key resistance, right? And we likely see more ranging in between this as range high and this as range low. Now, what if this range mean doesn't hold, right? And we keep on pushing lower? Where will I be looking for longs? Well, I feel like a lot of people are then gonna start bidding this consolidation, and I feel like the better option is just get it over with, sweep these range lows, reclaim this, and then start looking for buys again. So below 75k, 74, 75k, all the way down here. All right, I never expected us to retest this low, right? And I still believe we could move higher over the next couple of months, but I stepped away from being too blindly bullish, right? And am more playing it level to level right now, right? So what's the first step for bulls here? Well, on the weekly, at least show us some strength, right? Reclaim that weekly open, reclaim this range mean, and start targeting here. If we reclaim this area, start talking about this, flip above here, and then we can really start talking about new highs. Until then, right, where are we trapped between? In my opinion, between here and between here. So just how do you play the range, right? You keep your eyes on the range mean, on the range high and the range low. If you're below range low, below range high, you start targeting range mean. From range mean, you can start looking for bullish price action on the lower time frames to target a retest of range high. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm targeting way higher or we're super bullish targeting new all-time highs, but simply as a bounce play, right? Use that high time frame range mean and that high time frame range high as a bounce play, and then use the lower time frames to get entries and get a decent risk reward setup. All right, so what was I saying? Yeah, if you get back to range mean, you start looking for longs on the lower time frames targeting range high. If you break below range mean, yeah, then things are not looking too good, and we can start talking about range lows here. If we get range lows, right, I will be looking for fat swing longs here, at least for a bounce play, once again, back towards range highs. But like, yeah, just with a swing from like the 70k area back towards 100k area can be a massive swing, right? So not looking to hit a home run, but just looking to play it level to level. So that's what I'm looking at on the higher time frame. Now let's take a look on the lower time frames. Well, starting off on the daily. So daily, right, a lot of downside without a lot of bounces. Now the daily is dipping into this key pivotal area, as I said, support from all the way here, resistance here, back into support, and we are tapping into that area right now. So what you want to see here is some bullish price action, right? Low time frame strength, and then we can start talking about a retest of, let's say, 99 to 100k. If you get back above here and get some high time frame closes, start talking about range highs. So low time frame, right, it makes more sense to look for some long setups here on the lower time frames. Also on alts, since alts held up, some of the alts at least are looking pretty damn good in my opinion. Didn't make new lows, while Bitcoin was absolutely shitting the bed. So I'll explain which ones in a second. But it makes more sense to me down here to look for scalp or low time frame longs rather than looking for straight continuation to the downside. As we're down, what is it, almost 20% already in a couple days. All right, so that's my plan for Bitcoin. As for swing longs, I don't really feel comfortable entering here. I would feel comfortable entering down here. Then I'd enter swing longs. Where would I enter swing longs? Right here. If we start reclaiming this, that would be a first step, but honestly what I want to see would be a break above the big 108 level. So this area right here, the area where we broke down from on this move, retested it and then sold off. All right, apart from that, yeah, combine it with the OTE. If you draw that from up there to down there, where is OTE currently resting? Right at, yeah, it's slightly higher. Could mean, right, if you check where OTE would be resting, if you draw it like this, would line up perfectly with the bottom at 72k. So who knows, right? If you see something like this, where you go see downside, right, maybe some bounces, but ultimately make it all the way down to slightly sub 70k, and you draw your OTE from the high to the low, then that would line up with range highs. So would be a beautiful scenario, and I would definitely be looking for swing longs down here, but of course it's a long way down to reach that. So step by step, let's see what we get. All right, now the more interesting part, in my opinion at least, some altcoins. So the first one I wanted to talk about was not hype, was Esther. Why this one? Right, we came all the way back down here, so it's selling pressure, boom, the big nuke, kept dumping, and then from, let's say, sort of right here, we started seeing sideways price action. And then after that, right, from this consolidation, we broke out, retested this, and are seeing a really nice bounce on demand. So marked out this area as demand, the sideways price action where we started pumping from. Very low sound, should be fine. Maybe it's just your own volume. So retested this area, right, started reclaiming range mean, and that tells me that this sees strength, right? And now I have a clean invalidation. I could even trail my stops a little bit, as in my opinion we shouldn't be retesting down here now. So as long as we hold above range mean, I feel like liquidity is going to be resting higher above range highs, clearly acting way stronger than Bitcoin. But this is the setup that I entered, right? Stop right below that demand. I entered early because I could have entered on the beautiful retest of this blue demand area, but felt like entering before that. So here we are. What's the invalidation? Breaking below here again. That would be bad. Then I'd get out. As long as we hold above range mean, I think the draw is towards liquidity above range highs. That's Esther. Next up, yeah, BNB maybe. Let's take this chart. This is a daily setup that I entered. I posted it on Twitter as well. Why this setup, right? The big wick to the downside, huge buyback, but just to sweep all-time highs and then all the way back to the lows, broke down aggressively, bounced, but now so far these last couple of days we're holding up pretty strong, right? So in my opinion, right, this is either going to go for one more sweep and then see a big bounce, or see a big bounce from here. So I entered here already. As you can see, this is the setup. Pretty tight stop, but where? Right below this consolidation that led to the huge rally, right, into prices above $1,000. So still that demand, in my opinion, will be demand. We could sweep lower, as I said, but my stop should be safe for that. Then I want to see a bounce. Is this a play like targeting straight into new all-time highs, a huge run? No, it's just another trade where I'm targeting some highs. First one is up here. liquidity above this one, right? Down there, bounce to this low, back to the lows. Now liquidity should be there. And then we'll see, right, if we close strong above here and are bunking against this resistance, I think we fill in all the way back towards 1.2k. But if we see something like this, pump in there, reject, then I'll be looking for scalp shorts actually back towards the lows. But for now, I think from this area, the most logical thing to do is bounce. So that's another trade I'm in, and that's it for the moment. Other altcoins that I like are Hype, right? I marked out this range. What is this range? It's basically a monthly range from these levels. Inside bars from this low and this high all the way back until now for 4 months. Inside bars, what does that mean? We haven't closed a monthly candle outside of these boundaries yet, right? So we wicked above, we wicked below, and ever since we haven't seen a close outside of those boundaries. And what confirms that? The mid-range is acting as a key pivot. As you can see, beautiful resistance there, support. If you draw it all the way back from here, you're gonna see its key resistance there as well. So that's why I marked out that range. On the monthly, what else do we see, right? Current monthly candle. So last monthly candle swept all of these lows very aggressively, huge buyback, and then now from the monthly down, just pretty much down to range lows. From range lows, beautiful bounce. And what do we have above on this monthly candle? Barely a wick to the upside. So I wouldn't be surprised if Hype fills in at least this monthly high. That's why I marked this out. That's gonna be the key draw on liquidity. Why am I not in longs? Because the risk reward is not the best. So it's not because you think something is going up or something is going to go up that you should blindly long, because there could be no risk rewards, right? And that's the case here in my opinion. Why? Because if I were to long here, right, where would I have to keep my stops? I don't feel comfortable keeping them there. Why? Because there's clean lows there, and there. So I'd rather wait. Couple of scenarios. If we come down here, sweep those lows again and see strength, that's where I would enter, right? And keep my stops like somewhere right here. Or, right, if we see strength from here, like I said, monthly high will be the draw. Now, I could see a scenario where we take that high, build a bigger wick on the monthly, reject again, and get back below here. If that happens, right, that's a short, or at least stay away, right? Because at that point, I could see us filling in lower. But if we get that pump above here and we close a daily, let's say a weekly above this monthly high, which would also mean a strong close above the monthly open, in my opinion, the retest is a buy targeting new all-time highs. So I don't think that will come all the way up here to reject at that point. If we break above here and see a strong close, I think you buy the retests and sell new highs. All right, Zcash, yeah, interesting, right? Now I don't like the rejection that it's currently having, but what is the clean daily range that we're trading in? Obviously, huge run up, right? Where was the first high where we saw a decent rejection? There. What was the low where we started bouncing? There. Back to the highs, failed to sweep the highs, which could mean more liquidity resting to the upside, but which could also mean a lower high, so weakness. Anyways, if we mark that out with a range, there. What do we see, right? Range high, range low, range mean. We're slowly breaking below range mean. Now, this was the area where we started pumping from. The sideways price action that led to this. But I don't feel like buying this here. What I would look to buy would be a dump lower, below range lows. Look to buy the sweep there and then start targeting some supply there. Because like, if you bounce from this area, it could easily bounce back to this supply and reject to new lows. While if it dumps through here and sweeps this, right, you have a very good risk reward setup, invalidation like right there, simply back towards that supply. While if you enter here with your stop below range lows, that would already mean that you're putting your stops below key liquidity. And you can see towards that supply, it's only a 1 hour setup. Even if we bounce to new highs, right? But then this one becomes much better as well. Or what you could also do is enter half there and see if it bounces at, or if it keeps dumping through this blue area, look to buy the dip below range lows. But those are the scenarios that I'm watching for Zcash. Monero was very strong as well, but on the lower time frames is now acting very weak. We did a great long on this one and caught this weekly move, so that was nice. But the reason for closing, I think, is obvious, right? We took liquidity above this high, dumped and closed back below. Next weekly closed in the red and now retested that weekly level and is below the weekly open. So what you'd want to see here is at least a break, back above the weekly open, but also a break above that weekly high, which would be something like this, smash above here. And if it does that, then I think the sky is the limit and we can start pumping pretty big. But until then, I wouldn't be surprised if it fills in some of these lows. So for now, also passing on this one. What else do we have? Let me check. Yeah, Solana. I've been saying since we traded up here that I really didn't like Solana. You can go back in the streams. We were trading at OTE, resistance there. That was basically the only thing I was bearish on though. When we traded on up here, of course, everything nuked. But I didn't like it up there. I'm not liking it up here, to be honest. Like, I don't see anything bullish on this one. Clean low below here. Maybe if we sweep that into range lows, then we can start talking about a bounce. But for now, not a fan. Pump, very weak lately as well. We did sweep some lows. Let me check. Daily. Yeah, this could be a good one if we reclaim some levels. Right, if we see strength above here, then I think we could start targeting this high and this high again, right? If you take this as the range, range low and range high, mid-range pivotal, as you can see, there, beautiful, beautiful. Wicked into supply, rejected. Then this could be the sweep if you see the reclaim, right? Target range high into supply, and that would be the trade done as well. Yeah, you have another level here, so if you want to be aggressive, something like this, why not? What else do we have? Litecoin. Litecoin, basically still the same plan, still the same ID. If you look on the weekly, nothing has changed, right? We're still in that stupid weekly range. If and when Litecoin is going to break out of this consolidation, I feel like it's gonna do a huge move to the upside. And that's basically what I'm waiting for. And you can combine like, you know, I don't like diagonal levels, I only like horizontal levels. But if you want to mark one out, you can clearly see that this would be one to watch. And if we get a move like this, you buy the retest, in my opinion, right? That would be the breakout above the trend line and a breakout above these weekly range highs, and you target a lot higher. So as I said, just holding a big spot back of this one, and looking for that weekly breakout. Yeah, Ethereum, one area I had marked on this one, and the reason I was bullish on this one, right, was this blue area. And from these weekly closes right here, just like Bitcoin, I was bullish as that area was holding, but now obviously we've broken below. So I went from being bullish to ranging environment. What's the next logical area for Ethereum? I would say down here. Does that mean it doesn't have areas in between where it can bounce? No, it's currently at this area. So could I see a bounce? Yes. But the plan is clear, right? As long as it's below this area, it's just in a range, in a huge range. If we get above here, right, and you retest that, that's a buy signal. And then if it breaks out, that would mean a breakout of a yearly range. Then I can see it fly to 8K in a couple candles. So, but for now, like, this could range for another 3 years, you know. I will check ICP in a second. But like Ethereum, right, we swept all-time highs, we swept all of these highs and rejected, right? We closed back below, so no need to make it complicated or to be delusional and target new highs, right? If this was the range, if these were the highs that got swept here, was the opposite side there. So, as you can see, we're at range mean. If this area doesn't hold, next target is range lows. It could, and then you play it just like Bitcoin from here to here to here and the other way around until it breaks above here, and then you enter and target new all-time highs. All right, now ICP USDT. You said stop sleeping on it, but I checked it before the stream as someone posted it in the chat. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really like the weekly look of it. I mean, it had a nice candle here, but then rejected very heavily. And from the weekly, started pumping and now is rejecting, in my opinion, no. Where would I feel more comfortable if it manages to reclaim this, right? On the daily, it just looks like an aggressive sweep of the highs. Now, a retest of resistance, I'd say back in here. So, if it does something like this, maybe look for longs here, maybe even on the sweep of this, something like that. Or on the reclaim above here. And then we can start talking about another pump like we saw there. But for now, I'm not really convinced. Like, if you check this monthly, very ugly, right? So yeah, not convinced. Let's check what the low time frames are doing. That's nice. That's also nice. Yeah, everything bouncing a bit, so that's good. But yeah, we'll see, you know. A lot of, yeah, I'd say aggressive downside, of course, these last couple of days, 2 weeks. I've personally been just holding my spot backs, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance, so BNB, Coin, and Litecoin, I think are the main bags that I'm holding. And I see no reason to sell them. My plan was to sell them higher when they would have a bigger impact on my net worth. I don't need the money, right? So I'm not gonna sell here. I could hold for another 3 years and sell them, right? But I understand everyone's situation is different. If you were all in crypto from way lower, right, and you missed the top, missed selling the top, it would have made a lot of sense to start taking some profits, right? But for me, it didn't. So I'm just holding. I have time. And let's see what it does. Level to level now. As for trading, right, I entered way too many longs on the way down here. I never expected Bitcoin to go this low, but as long as you manage your risk, right, basically nothing can happen. I had some losses on Bitcoin longs, but we did, for example, a nice play on Monero, catching this weekly breakout. We did a really nice play on gold as well. What was the move that we caught here? It was from this range low, right? I said likely some relief for commodities back towards these highs into supply, and that's exactly what happened. Traded it nice from down here to the exact supply top. And yeah, as long as you do that, I'm not gonna say I'm up because I'm down a little bit, but not quite a lot, you see. So overall, I still feel like I'm doing good, considering that I didn't catch any shorts, and I was just looking to buy the dip, you know. So yeah, take it easy. If you are losing a lot, just lower your risk, I'd say. Take it easy. Maybe take some steps away from the screen. Come back whenever you feel more comfortable, and see from there, right? Gold looking good again, by the way, in my opinion. If it holds here and now starts breaking back above this range mean, then I think we move to new all-time highs. If this happens, right? If we retest here and reject, then I could see another move towards new lows. And then something like this would be a buy again, or something like this, and a break below here would be a sell and target lower. But for now, just in a range. All right. Well, we have some bounces on Bitcoin. Nice. We're already making some back. Esther is another one, by the way, I'm making money on right now. So yeah, we caught some nice moves. I guess most of the people watching now are already in the Discord, but if you're not, that's where I post all of my trades live. If you want to join, use one of my links. You know, it's that easy. You don't have to pay me anything. Use one of my links to trade on, or buy an evaluation on Breakout with a fresh email, and I'll add you to the group. Rose, I see someone asking. Let's take a look. I'm not gonna stream for too long as I want to watch the markets here on the lower time frames. Yeah, this looks bad, you know. Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, it's basically trading at all-time lows, so nothing exciting, right? Weekly downtrend. If it breaks above here, sort of, which would line up with this horizontal, then you can start talking about maybe targeting here. But for now, it did sweep these lows, right? And then strong reclaim, but the retest is acting weak, right? See, I don't like it when stuff does this, so a strong bounce and then just all of these candles down to retest some levels. That just tells you that it's weak. And it's the same one with ICP that I explained, right? Massive pump, but now just very hard rejection. So yeah. Any more questions? Any more requests or anything? Otherwise, I'm gonna hop off. Stream will be uploaded as always, so you will be able to rewatch later on. I see Tao, yeah, we were bullish on Tao, looking for buys in this gray area, targeting range highs. And overall, I didn't play this, by the way, but the thesis behind this was always that there was weekly liquidity resting above there. And guess what happened? We swept that weekly liquidity, closed below and rejected hard. Retested range mean and all the way back to range lows. So as for swing plays, right, I don't like it. As for a bounce play, this is likely a nice area to buy, right? So a bounce from here, sure, back to range mean, above range mean, back to range high, above range high, can start talking about a lot higher. As long as we don't, right, if we break back below here, that would be bad. But overall, yeah, I feel like where we're trading at right now is a nice area for some low time frame long setups. I agree. Zig. Yeah, weak, right? Huge range, but sadly it broke down. So sweep there, retest, and then what you wanted to see was this. Or what it did was now breaking back below here. So definitely not a good look. If you get something exciting, then maybe target here again. But until then, I think this just bleeds in here. The rejection correlates with extreme Bitcoin weakness though. Gotta take it with a grain of salt for that reason. Yeah, true. But still, that doesn't change anything, right? Let's see how they bounce, right? Everything is bouncing at the moment, so let's see if we get some strength. I'm excited about Litecoin as it held up really good. I'm excited about Hype as it's looking fairly strong, well, really strong actually. I'm now talking about like significant upside, not yeah, bounce plays, right? And then Esther, because it consolidated, right, at the lows here for a long time and is now breaking out of that range. So I think at least back towards this resistance. And those are my top picks for the coming days. So if you want to see more, right, join the Discord. But like I said, I think most of you guys are already in. Leave a like on the YouTube stream. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.